Hello and welcome to Into the Abyss with my wonderful co-host Karissa, Fleck, and our guest of honor, David Oman, who just randomly disappeared and then reappeared. So,
well, unfortunately, I had to leave the room because two of my cats were going at it, and I didn't want blood and guts all over the place.
All right, David. So tell us about how you acquired the house, how you got the property and stuff.
Well, let me shut the window and the blinds. I was going to say, do you want me to get a couple of still photographs that I have to be able to show the audience when I reference these different things?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back and get to some big photos of the actual stuff.
This will be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Karissa, if you want to mute your mic, like, temporarily until you want to speak or whatever, because there's like a major echo. Run, David, run! Don't trip, though.
With a cigarette in hand to boot. Gee. I'm going to get clean. Okay. Do you want me to start with the murders, or do you want me to start with the property itself?
Start with the property, how you acquired it, and then get into the murders.
All right. This is 2016. In 1999, my father called me up on a Sunday morning at 8 o'clock and told me to get my ass up and to meet him at this property that was for sale in Beverly Hills. And he says, it's $40,000, and it's down the street from where your godfather lives. And I was like, I said, Beverly Hills, lot, $40,000, Dad? I said, I can't believe that's possible. He goes, just go up this place, here are the directions, and I'll meet you there. I go up to this property, and I'm looking down the driveway from this hillside, and I said, that's where the Sharon Tate Murders took place. Then my dad rolls up, and I said, Dad, I said, you know where we are? And he goes, no. He goes, this is down the street from the Sharon Tate Murders. And his response was, so what? He goes, we're here to look at a piece of property. I could care less about something that happened X amount of years ago, blah, blah, blah. And literally, and I'm just getting the pictures together to show you guys. All right. I don't know if you can see, let me see. This is the lot right here. You see that? That's what I came upon. And that was how it looked when we first looked at it. And he said, this is where we're going to build a house. He said, there are caissons on the property. There's actually rebar on top of the earth, and it's going back some 15 years, and it's been sitting here, and it's a foreclosure. And he says, apparently there's some problem with the lot. You can't build on it, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'm going to investigate. I have a feeling we can get this, and it's a steal. He said, it's already got $100,000 worth of improvements on the property. And I said, okay, let's see what you can do. And several months later, I think it was January, we ended up buying the lot for $40,000.
Wait, $40,000?
$40,000 for a $300,000 lot plus $100,000 worth of improvements.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So when people ask, it's like, think that I bought this property because I wanted to be near Sharon Tate and I'm obsessed with Sharon. And let's get to the chase, baby. If it wasn't an act of fate and the luckiest luck of lucks that my dad found it, and there was foreclosure, I would never have in a million years of could have and would have afforded to and desired to, if I had free will outside of the fact that it was a deal, be living up here present day. So everybody that says, oh, you're just obsessed with Sharon, it's like, going, the hell I am. I've never been, obsessed with any celebrity in my life. So about a couple of months after we bought it, this is what the property looked like. And you can see that was all there on the property when we bought it. You see the hillsides now cleared up, and you can see the rebar that's sitting on top of the earth where the trenches are. I mean, I can zoom in a little for you guys and show you. You see that? I'm trying not to get too much of a beam of light on it, reflecting. But that's how it was literally when we bought it. And so it was cleaned up. I'll show you another shot leading up to, this is actually, I'll go back a little. There, you can see the other houses, and you can see the driveway, which is right here. That's the driveway leading up. And you see the house, this house here was here during the murders, and this house here was here during the murders. This house was new, and right here where my house is new. I'll show you another wider shot of during the construction. You can actually see on my property, you can see the actual construction going on as we were digging out the earth.
Yeah.
If you can see, that's actually the hillside. This is where we are right now, and I think it was close to this side or this side is where the earthen wall room is present day. I think I have some actual photographs of the construction itself. Son of a bit. Here we are. That's a picture during the construction. I'll try to not get too much of a gleam off of it. But that's actually the balcony going outside, and this is on the 3rd floor. And you can see that right in the middle, right there, that's actually the bottom of the stairwell. And then right here, try not to get too much glare, is the wall leading into the guest bedroom. This photograph here shows looking down on the 3rd floor, and you notice that steel I-beam right in the middle of the picture. That's actually two 19-foot I-beams that span across the 2nd floor underneath that are connected to 3 steel columns. There's one right here where my finger is, one in the middle, and one over here. And those are supporting the 2nd floor. Underneath the 3rd floor is the same thing. The reason why I mentioned those steel I-beams, and I'll show you the next picture, actually shows you, you can see the steel columns that, this is before that the steel I-beams were put on. You see the tops of them hanging, right? You see those black columns, one on each side and one in the middle? Those are what is supporting those 2 steel I-beams. There's another 2 steel I-beams with the same thing connected to 3 steel columns underneath the 3rd floor. And what that whole thing, what the importance of that is the steel I-beams are set in the concrete that's reinforced with steel rebar, going all the way down into the gray beams, which are these huge, long forms of concrete, about 2 feet and 3 feet wide and about 5 feet deep. And it's solid concrete. And in those concrete I-beam, in those concrete forms, are those steel columns that are then connected to 30-foot deep holes in the ground that are again reinforced with steel and concrete and rebar and concrete. The reason why all of this is important is because what Barry Tapp had surmised is that this house sits in a geomagnetic anomaly, that through the steel in the earth going down 30 feet, going all the way up through those gray beams that are basically the foundation of the house, connected to those 6 steel columns, connected to those 4 steel I-beams, it's basically creating a magnetic field that's running all the way through all these components of the steel, all the way up this 30-foot wrought iron spiral staircase that I have, and creating basically a Ferris cage, which is an iron cage that is magnetized. And there's so much magnetic energy coming through all of these different portions of the house, below the 3rd level and below the 2nd level, that it's all of this steel that's making this kind of a grid work of magnetism that is going through this, connected to a spiral staircase that acts like a giant coil. And it's amplifying.
Let me ask you that on purpose?
No. My father.
This was on accident.
Well, again, you got to remember, when houses are constructed present day, going back a number of years, you have to have a structural engineer and a geological engineer come in. So it's not anything to do with the way that my father designed the house. My father, as an architect, designed the structure and said, this is what I want to build. You then take those plans to a geological engineer who looks at the geological survey and what the conditions on the soil reports are, and then says to the structural engineer, these are the things that are prescribed for this amount of load bearing on this type of soil conditions that you have to work within. Then the structural engineer says, okay, if this is Mr. Roman's design and this is his floor plan, then this is what you're going to have to build as a skeleton or a frame, and an engineer will decide how and what is the best, most efficient way to build the structure within the parameters of what the geological engineer said. So by some stroke of coincidence, let us say, the location was not known to have a geological anomaly existing, because a geological soil engineer doesn't know and give a rat's ass about such things, even if they did exist, to his understanding. He's not concerned with that. He's just concerned with what's the soil make composition in this hillside. At how many feet down do you hit bedrock? And what's the stratus of the bedrock? Is it quartz? Is it shale? What is it comprised of? And then, of course, he has to then say, look, you have these, again, you got to remember, the house, when we bought the property, the lot itself had those 13 caissons, and somebody had already pre-existingly had engineered the property for the way it was going to be built before we entered into the picture. Somebody tried to build a house 30 years ago and got stopped for whatever reason. So this is already there. So we had to deal with what we were given. So the engineer says, well, you've got this and this and this. This was built to code for what it was going to be built for. Since that was never built, we can use these parameters, but this is what you'll have to do to bring it up to code present day for earthquakes. So the suggestion by the structural engineer was put in 4 steel I-beams across your supports and support the second level and the third level with that to make it more sound. So again, my father could have never envisioned this because he wasn't party to the construction of the engineering of the structure and how it was to be built to come up to code for earthquakes, because again, it's a hillside ordinance that had to be, required to be prescribed by the county of Los Angeles. Then you've got, of course, the conditions for the soil and all that. So he decided this is the best thing you can do to build this house. He didn't do this on purpose. Again, he's just a structural engineer. So he's thinking, to build this house that you want to build, this is what you're going to have to put in to make this thing a worthwhile structure. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So what geological anomaly are you talking about?
Well, there's a geomagnetic anomaly in the earth here, apparently. We found this out some 10, 11 years ago when Barry Taft came in and brought in his equipment. He was the first person ever to scientifically or psychically come into the house and do an investigation before any TV show or anything. And he brought out a digital geomagnetometer, and his geomagnetometer at the front door was peaking, mind you. If the reading was, it stopped at 2,000 milligauss, and as Barry said, if this thing could reach up to 10,000 milligauss, it could possibly go up to 6,000 or 7,000 milligauss, but because the limitations of the equipment are such that it peaks at 2,000 milligauss, we don't know how high it could go. But it peaked at 2,000 milligauss positive at the front door. At the bottom of the wrought iron staircase, it was 2,000 milligauss reverse polarity, negative.
Holy
DC.
hell. Wow. Wait, 2,000, negative 2,000 you said milligauss?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And what's funny is nowadays, you can buy a digital geomagnetometer with a triaxial configuration, which is 3 times better than what he had. Then it was a single axis device. And you can spend now they're about $1,000 to $1,200, but your smartphones have an app that's an EMF reader, which we've used. It's a digital EMF reader. We ran it through the house. And we've hit somewhere like 6,000 milligauss. And it's a triaxis. So you have the X, Y, and Z axes. Some of the axes are negative and some are positive. Some of the times are all negative. But we're talking about registering upwards of 6,000 milligauss.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And here's a funny one. There's one that blows my mind. There's a 10-inch crescent wrench, a regular steel alloy crescent wrench that I have in the 3rd level on this bar. It sits up 4 feet tall, and it's a bar that we built out of butcher block on top of a cabinet that has no electronics in it whatsoever. I left the crescent wrench on that countertop for a couple of months and was down there with my app on the smartphone. And well, first what it was I was taking a compass around showing people how the compass deflects in certain parts of the house. We went up near the crescent wrench and the compass started pointing directly towards one end being north, and we went to the other side of it. The other side was pointing that was south. So I took out the smartphone and I looked at the app and I set it up near the phone, the crescent wrench, and it gave off of readings, and I kid you not, of 6,000 milligauss negative at one end and 7,000 milligauss positive at the other end.
Wow.
And that's just from sitting in the room, in this environment, around nothing electronic whatsoever.
How the hell?
Being in that atmosphere for that long, it became magnetized.
How the hell is that even possible?
It's, again, remember what I said about the Ferris cage? The 2nd floor is here, the 3rd floor is here, where these steel I-beams are. So in between, on this 3rd level, is this huge amount of energy. And don't forget, you've got 3 steel columns, 1 on each side and 1 in the middle below the 3rd level. Then on the 3rd level, supporting the 2nd floor, are the same 2 steel I-beams, but they're not directly set identical. They're offset. So the ones supporting the 3rd floor here, the ones that are supporting the 2nd floor here, and I-beams are offset, so they're like this. They're this type of an offset, about 10 feet. To get the greatest structural support. And because of that, you've got this energy between the 2 I-beams, the 4 I-beams, and in between, it's just totally like a Ferris cage. Because then you got the 3 columns on each side as well, bombarding you from the sides and in the middle with energy that's all there.
So basically it's like being underneath a super transformer. Like a superpower transformer.
A naturally occurring one, mind you. Remember that. There's no direct current. There's no energy going into it. The energy that's going into it is environmental. So, for instance, what Barry surmised was that during the Santa Ana winds, which we just had a couple of days ago, there must have been about 50-mile-an-hour gusts up the canyons. And literally, there were a couple of trees. I saw a tree that was in the roots. The tree was about, I'd say about a good, I can't show you by my hands, but I'd say about a good through from one side to the other, about a good 2 feet. And the tree was literally about a 35-foot tall tree, fully about 25 feet around. It was down on its side with the root pack underneath, about 5 feet, 6 feet across, literally ripped up out of the ground. And here on my neighbor, in my driveway, we had a tree that I literally had to saw it that was about a 6 or an 8-inch thick branch of a big tree that just snapped off right in the middle of the street. So, I mean, that kind of energy that's being dispersed through the Santa Ana winds and the static electricity, he said, would get absorbed by the house and would raise the energy levels in the house even higher. And here's another story that happened with Barry when he was here. He brought out a digital air ion counter, and he takes a measurement in the house, and he's during the windstorms, he goes, I'm getting 23 million parts per cubic centimeter. I think it was let me see if it's negative. I forgot which is the bad one, but he says negative. He goes outside and he takes the reading. He goes, I don't believe it. I said, wait. He goes, look at the reading. I said, 23 parts, same numbers, but reverse polarity. I said, what does it mean? He goes, it's impossible. They enter the boundaries of the house and the ions reverse polarity. He goes, it's impossible.
So do you think that valley that is below your house and stuff, do you think that is basically like one giant frickin' vortex?
Well, what Barry said was another interesting thing. He said, according to him, and again, I defer to what Barry said, according to the USGS, which is the U.S. Geological Survey, he said they had readings that this area, not limited to this area, he says it's in this canyon and it's a geological type of anomaly that extends out for about 1,000, 2,000 yards. So it's just this whole energy. It's not just this valley. It's not that side. It's not the mountain. It's because this whole mountain area here has got an enormous amount of quartz, which it does. It's got lots of quartz. And if you know anything about geology, quartz is not just a crystal. Quartz is a volcanic crystal. And what Barry says is, even though there's a fault line running up Benedict Canyon, that's an inactive fault line. What he said is that there's most likely a existing pre-volcanic condition. And I says, what do you mean specifically? He goes, under the earth here, there is probably a gigantic lava flume. I said, what's that? He goes, he's like he says, basically like a giant river that's under the earth here. And as the basalt and the magma move, it discharges an electromagnetic field that radiates up through the earth's crust. And he goes, these mountains are all basically pre-volcanic. And he says that there's a pretty good chance that there's a low-lying type of a deposit of magma that's this voluminous amount of electromagnetic energy that flows up through all the iron that's consistent with that. And that this whole area's got proliferations of paranormal activity. He goes, it just so happens the way the house is constructed with so much wrought iron in it. And so much of it in the way that it's designed by the fact that you've got these kind of, these two steel I-beams, this one's, and these two steel I-beams this way, and all this wrought iron with the spiral staircase. Nobody has homes like this. This is the craziest design, he said. And because of that, it's conducive to amplifying the energy. That's not to say, and I have to say, is that I haven't met other people that live in the area, not necessarily this neighborhood, but in other parts of the canyon and the Benedict Canyon, that have told me they have had strange occurrences happening at their house, as well as for the paranormal activity. This house, the difference is that no one died here. And that in most cases, when people think about hauntings, they think that, oh, somebody had to die there. This is an anomaly, wrapped in an anomaly, put inside of an enigma. Meaning, forget the fact that the Sharon Tate Murders happened 150 feet down the drive from here, as people don't seem to understand. No, if that didn't take place, this place would still be what it is.
Exactly. I don't doubt that at all.
One thing has nothing to do with the other. The fact is, this house is, as Barry said, is a portal. And what he said and he surmises that when people come in, and he said this, he goes, that people have a number of spirits around them. Each and every one of us. We've got friends and relatives that have passed away that are no longer with us. And they're around us. So he says when said person comes in the house, it's a function of if their spirits, when they hit this environment, want to interact, there's no holes barred, is what he said. He said that an analogy would be this. When you take a reptile, a lizard, and you put it in a sub-80-degree environment, it becomes inactive because it's cold-blooded. When you put said lizard into an environment that's 80 degrees Fahrenheit and above, it becomes active because it's deriving its energy from the, from the thermal energy that's there, and it becomes active because it's warming its blood up. Same thing for a spirit, he said. When you're outside in the real world, your elevated EMF levels are at about 3 to 500 milligauss at said level about here. When you come into the house, because they're always up here at the peak levels, which as he said in his experiences, going back to the original entity case in 1973, he said that when a spirit would manifest, our meters would register 3,000, 4,000 milligauss, positive or negative. And then after the spirit would disappear, the levels would return to normal. He said, in your house, they're always here. Where normal is here, you're always high. So when people bring their spirits in here, those spirits on them can start dancing around, moving stuff with the ease of anything. They have no restrictions to be able to interact with their coefficient of human therewith.
It's crazy. I guess I should stay out of your house then if your attachment's full magnitude. I don't want to even know.
There are no full attachments. See, that's the other thing. People don't get it. People have a strange, egocentric belief about themselves and spirits. I want to be the first person to say, as much as people think they know so much about the hereafter, I'm getting that we know absolutely, positively not one scintilla of information whatsoever. All hypothesis and all predicated upon either a religious, a spiritual, or whatever belief you want to call it. It's all different. Let's get that straight. Spiritualism is not religious. Religious is not spiritualism. But they're all hypotheses based upon some human being's belief. And an example would be if you're a Mormon, you believe in a guy named John Smith who 160 some odd years ago or 70 years ago ran through the gosh darn Utah mountains and found some stone and attributed it to Jesus. It's his belief that Jesus was sent from the aliens and from whatnot, you know, and it's great. But again, it's a hypothesis. If you want to believe that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's, again, your belief. It can't be proven that it's true until you die. And at that time, last I checked, you don't get information from the other side that tells you what's going on that side. It's always about what's going on in this existence.
I agree. There is no expert in this field.
It's true, and that's the problem I keep on hearing. It's like, I'm an expert. It's like, send them into the light. And
that's when you just walk away.
I know, but you have to understand, in my position, I get bombarded with these commentaries of like, can you send Sharon into the light? You're being an asshole, but you're not sending them into the light. It's like, you're a human, I'm a human. We don't know what goes on the other side. We can't send somebody somewhere where we haven't been, where we don't know, where we can't see where they are. And it kind of makes me go, I've had other people that have come here that are gifted. Mary Winkowski has said to me, they're staying there. I can't get them anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're there for a reason, and that's it. Lisa Williams said they like hanging out here. They like me. They like the energies, like the fact that I allowed them to hang here as a ghost flop house. And I said, look, when I die and I'm in your shoes, I don't want to find myself dealing with some human being that's confronting me and saying, get out of here, leave, get lost. And it's like, go where? I don't know where I am. Please consider my situation. I'm blind, and you're even blinder than I am, and I'm here, and you're there, and you're telling me to go. So I said, you know something? Let them be where they are. I have better faith that they can do better for themselves than I can tell them where to go. And those who supposedly know have said, look, they're not in any bad shape. They're hanging out. They're waiting for their time to come to go do where they're supposed to go. What happened? He just lost. There he is. Trent, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are. So that was weird. I saw that going.
We lost him.
Mean, it's
Trent?
It's hard to explain, but you know, when Barry was here, things were happening. And on one occasion, his producer friend brought his girlfriend, and the spirits, I was feeling very much a push of like, from the other side, like saying, she doesn't belong here. Get her out of the house. Get her out. And I was very vicious about it. And I told Barry afterwards, I don't know why I was so upset. Fast forward 3 months, she ended up coming down with what do you call it? She had a regression or her cancer came back and basically died. She had cancer that was in a dormant stage, and 3 months after she visited the house the second time, at which point I was telling her to get out of the house, get out of the house, and she stayed. Her cancer went from remission into an active state, and she died. And it was the only time that I've ever felt like I felt that I wasn't heard, because I felt like I was being told, like being pushed, like tell her get out of the house. Because what Barry had said was he thought that the exposure to the elevated electromagnetic field levels caused her cancer to basically come back and metastasize and return in a vicious fashion. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So what factor does the murders have to do? And for those that don't know the murders, that are new to knowing who you are and knowing about which murders we're talking about, basically it's the Sharon Tate murders. So if anybody doesn't know that, then you need to do your own research then and look into that, because everybody should know that because it's been everywhere. So what factors and what aspect does the Sharon Tate murders have to do with your house? Let me ask you that.
Well, first, let me show you this picture since we're talking about that. It's a nice segue. This is taken on August 9th, 1969, where right here, where my finger is right there, this is where my house is present day. This, as you can see, is Stephen Parent's car. This is the end of the driveway. And this is where Sharon's house that they were renting was. And I'll show you some more pictures of this since I have them. This is the actual end of the driveway in front of my, I guess, here's a better shot. Let me just put it back. Whoops. Son of a bitch. Here we go. You see that? That happened to be Stephen Parent's car. He was the first person killed that day at the end of the street. That's Sharon's, I guess the Porsche was Jay Sebring's car, and the Firebird that's there in the driveway was Abigail Folger's, apparently. This is another, I'll show you a few more shots. This is actually leading up to my, I guess, the end of the driveway. And you can see this vacant lot right here is where we are. This is where the house stood at the end of the street. The story was this, really, the connection is the fact that the proximity to the murders. Well, let's just say this. I've seen this, the apparition of Jay Sebring 11 years ago. Well, 12 years ago this summer it'll be when I saw Jay Sebring's apparition. We've had numbers of psychics that have been here that have recalled the spirit of Sharon coming in and visiting. I myself have had communication with her on a few occasions. Most notably, 2 years ago in 2014, on the anniversary of the murders, at exactly 12:20 in the morning, one of the Beetlejuice figurines flew off the aquarium 7 feet towards the artist who painted the Sharon Tate portrait and landed literally a foot in front of him, and the head of the Beetlejuice flopped off. And I was catty-cornered to him. He was here, standing here in the door jar. I was right to the left of him, and this thing came flying off. And we were the only two people in the house. And this was after a big 45th anniversary event that was here at the house that we were hosting. And I never forget it. I looked at my watch. I said, oh, my God, it's 12:20. That's when I think that's when Sharon was actually finally killed. And it was just uncanny. Other than that, there's really no connection. People have done TV shows, 6 of them so far in the U.S. that I've been on, from Ghost Hunters to My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, Haunted History, Ghost Adventures, and of course Ghost Adventures Aftershocks. And for the most part, they've all played up the angle of the Sharon Tate murders in me. It's like, as I've tried to explain to people, that's probably 1/10 of 1% of the paranormal activity that occurs in this house.
If that. If even that.
If even, exactly. I mean,
it could be like a 0.01, percent of what the hell is going on in the house.
Oh yeah, I mean, if discernible stuff that we've had experienced in the house, yeah. I mean, I've had things that are related to people's relatives who had died, between EVPs, between a sofa chair moving on its own and flipping over in front of one of my friends this year. Yeah, none of this, as I've said to people, here's an example. Lindsay Lohan came to the house. I think it was 3 years ago, the day she got popped for the necklace that she stole in Venice Beach. She actually came over that night. And I was like, she walks in the door and I was all jacked up, saying, oh, it's Lindsay Lohan's going to be here. And I was a little disappointed, to say the least. It was like the air was let out of my tires. I was like, oh, great, you're here. It was so anticlimactic, and it just went downhill from there because she was like, well, I want to see a ghost. I want to see a ghost. I want to see a ghost. Where's the ghost? I want to see a ghost. And I was like, Lindsay, we're not on set. And I can't go get in the walkie-talkie and hit up the ghost wrangler and say, send in 3 ghosts now, Raj, please. It just doesn't work like that. And I can't sit there and say, spirits, Sharon J., I have a big-time celeb that's here today that wants to see you. Could you please make yourself available? I don't have the power to do that. And I literally said that to her. I kid you not. I said, Lindsay, I can't press a button and make the ghosts manifest. I said, this is real life, sweetheart. I said, I don't mean to sound condescending, but if they want to show the hell up, they'll show up. And I told a friend of mine.
I've sort of came up with a thought that if you go into a haunted place with the incentive of wanting and expecting to see something happen, nothing's going to happen. But if you go in there not expecting anything to happen, you have more of a chance. But there's still not that 100% chance of seeing anything or experiencing anything.
There's never 100% ever. No, you can't get. I just never guarantee I'm going to make a ghost manifest. Yeah. My rear end says you're full of shit. That just doesn't happen. It can't happen. Look, I live in this stuff 24/7 for the past 14 years. I've seen stuff when I'm not expecting to see stuff. Here's an example. I think it's about 7-8 months ago, I was here on the computer working, and for some crazy reason, I say this, people like, you have cameras to ask. I have literally 16 cameras, 3 megapixel, 1080p cameras now throughout the entire house. Example is one right there. Here, I'll show you. Let me see. You see that? I have those throughout the house. And they're all high def.
Yep.
Let me get that. Oh, great. It's the freaking camera here again. They're all high def with microphone, and they are sweet. And when I first got them, I stayed up every single night till 4 in the morning, looking over the first thing. Anything happened, I went bonkers. It was like, I can't deal with this crap. Who the hell has time to do this and live a life? So it was literally out of the blue a couple months, maybe 7 months ago, and I'm 2 in the morning. No, it's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm looking down, and for some reason the whole entire screen is to one camera, and it's the camera shoots down the hallway. And I'm looking down, and all of a sudden, the screen is nice and lit. And for a split second, I'm looking down, and I see something like it blacks out for a flash second. And it caught my eye, and I looked up and said, what the hell is that? So I look at the review of the video, and literally there's something that walks right by the camera and blacks it out for like a split second. And I said, that was less than a minute ago. What the hell was literally 15 feet in front of me in that hallway that walked by the camera? So I looked at the cats and the dogs. They're all in the goddamn bedroom asleep. So I know it wasn't one of them. And if it was certainly standing on stilts, because the camera sits at about 7 feet off the ground shooting down the hallway. So I sat there and I said, it happens. What am I going to do? If you sit there and go, what was that? What was that? Oh my God, what was that? It chews you up from the inside out. So I sit there and I say, son, big deal. It's not going to hurt me. It's the fact that I'm not at ease with it. it's like kind of the realization.
You can work
gonna
yourself
die
up
at some-
over it. You know, you can cause yourself to experience things because you overreact with these things. Now,
It's called
don't get me wrong. If I have a brick or something thrown at me, I might shit a brick or two. But
You can't.
you know, I don't. I might
feed
in my
fear.
head.
I don't.
I might
fear,
shit a
it's
brick
fear.
right then and there in
I'm
my
not
head,
scared
but
of them.
I'll keep myself level. You know, I'm not gonna like, be like bolting out of the entire asylum or wherever I'm at. You know.
Well, here's an example. I've had a lot of people that have been here and tell me of their experiences here, whatnot, and I'm always fascinated to hear. And a friend of mine had an experience upstairs in the top floor bathroom where he was taking a leak, and he says he heard from behind him the sound of the water on. He goes, here's the sound of rushing water. He turns around, he looks, and the faucets are both on. He freaks out and runs out of the room. Literally 5 or 6 months ago, I'm in my bathroom, you know, midnight, cleaning my tennis shoes off, and I'm like sitting 7 feet from the sink, and I turned the water on, turned it off after I dampened the rag, and sit down on the edge of the tub, and I hear the sound of water running, and my eyes drift up, and I look, hot and cold are both on, full force. And I looked up, and I said, oh, that is so cool. And this is exactly what I said. I said, thank you. I said, thank you so very much. I said, I know you did that for Adam a few years ago, but you never did that for me. And I'm so appreciative. I thank you. I said, that is a gift and a half. And I really want to say thank you. I said, however, on a serious note, you do know that California is going through a terrible drought right now. So I'd appreciate it, even though I appreciate the gesture, we got to come up with some other kind of some routines. I said, we can't do the water gags anymore. I said, they're off limits. I said, once is enough. That's okay. And that's how I treat it. I don't not only not feed into it, I find it, I reinforce their ability to do it and say, thank you. I want them to know that I appreciate their, goddamn camera. I appreciate their presence, you know, and I hate this goddamn camera. God.
So I'm gonna bring back up the whole thing that you said. It was like luck that you got this lot for 40,000 and stuff. I completely agree with you because I believe in the statement, everything happens for a reason. As to what that reason is, maybe your reason was to help paranormal research, you know, maybe, or something as to that bar, you know, maybe something to that effect. Or maybe it's much farther than what we can comprehend right now, but later down the road, when technology and everything gets better, maybe we'll understand. But like I said, I believe that everything happens for a reason. So.
No, I agree with you. I just wanted you to say that because Barry Taff and I stopped talking to one another 10 years ago now was because Barry was, quote unquote, unhappy with the fact that I would be talking to people like the Ghost Hunters show to come out here 10 years ago to do an investigation here at the house. And Barry said, and I quote, this could be a gosh darn scientific landmark, this house. This could be for paranormal research. This could be the benchmark of all paranormal research. I said, Barry, I said, one little problem with that. I live here. I'm not turning this house into a gosh darn functioning laboratory and turn myself into an A1 lab rat. I said, Barry, I said, if I want to have the Ghost Hunters people here, they're more than welcome to come here. If they want to do investigation, fine. He goes, they're all frauds. They're all frauds. I said, Barry, I know they're television, but you can't take the house and make a fraud out of the real deal. I said, you keep on fearing something that you're making up in your head. What is your fear? Later on, I found out that Barry had to find out with the producers of a lot of these shows because he was difficult to work with. That's why you don't see Barry having his own show. You haven't seen Barry have his own show in ever in the 10 years that I've known him. And the fact is that he didn't like them. There was a conflict, personality-wise, between them and him. And I said, but Barry, that's between you and them. If I want to do a show, let them come here. Let them investigate. It's worth it to share it. And I've always been about sharing it. like I said, I live here. This is my home. This is my legacy. I'm not prepared to turn it over to. I'm not ready to turn this cadaver over to the university to say, here, dissect this and tell me what this is. Do the autopsies. He's still alive.
We want you to.
Who wants a piece of flesh, and I'm not interested in giving it. I'm sorry. There's like so
all I want is a finger, or maybe even a fingernail. That would work.
Yeah, like I said, that's look, for 2 years, up until like 9 months ago, I was doing the tours here, and we did them for close to 2 years, and we gave people an opportunity to come in and investigate for 7 hours from 8 in the evening, 6 hours from 8 in the evening to 2 in the morning, which usually ran to 3. But that was more than enough. And look, I allowed the Idiot from Ghost Adventures to come in and dealt with his bona fide rear end and his storytelling. I actually was gonna be doing more tours starting tomorrow night, and nobody called and nobody bought any tickets. I said, son, I don't have to. I'm not interested in making the show to let everybody come in if nobody's interested. And I said, fine, it's not that I have to, because a lot of people said, oh, you're exploiting the murders. I'm doing nothing of the sort. I'm showing people that there's paranormal existence, that they always came, I want to see Sharon Tate. What they did have is they had an experience with somebody that was related to them that had passed away, that came through either physically, tapped in the shoulder, or we had EVPs, or people just had a connection with something that was close to them, but they said they could feel that presence. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I was able to bring you to a place that you were coming for this, but you got, as the song goes, you don't always get what you want, you get what you need. They wanted to see Sharon Tate. They got their passed away father in one case, or their friend. It was hard to explain. It was, like I said, it was a great experience, but after a while, I just got tired of it. I burnt out on it. And I don't know if I'm going to do them ever again, just because I don't like the show. I get railed about it because, you're charging $100 to come in. It's like, yeah, there's all you can eat food. There's all you can drink. You have all the paranormal equipment. You have access to a psychic there. You have access to 2 paranormal investigators, and I'm not talking about me. You have access to all the equipment that you could possibly want, between a REM pod, a K2 meter, the geomagnetometer, the thermal imaging camera, recorders for doing EVP sessions. I just got tired of, doing it, and especially because of the fact that so many of Mr. Who's nameless paracelebs fans were so pissed and bitter about me because he went off and said, I'm possessed and I'm a poltergeist agent. I just said, it's enough. I don't need to put myself out in the world and be lambasted by a bunch of goon man.
Well, it goes back to that saying that there are no experts in this field, but yet everyone likes to think that they are one and likes to tell people how to live and how to do their own thing. And I don't understand, if you don't agree with someone, just don't even bother talking to them. Why do you have to harass people?
Hey, if you ain't got anything nice to say, shut the hell up.
I know, and I don't get it. I deal with it too. I think a lot of people deal with it, and it's draining. This field is unknown people.
It is mentally, physically. It's just, and it's boring too. It's not even just draining in general. It's just boring. It's like, what are you trying to get at? And for people to sit here and say, I believe 100% that you have something going on in your house, and I've seen too much. If there wasn't anything, these shows and studios and people would not be continuously coming to your house.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be coming out of these. They wouldn't be coming out of these investigations with actual evidence. That's where it gets very stupid. For these people, these quote unquote people, to say that what is going on in your house is fake, you're possessed, so on and so forth. It's sort of stupid and pointless.
It's ego. You got to remember, it all started when I said that he well, when we were first promoting the investigations after the initial Ghost Adventures show that aired 2 years ago, I basically said, look, come to the place that Zach Baggins couldn't stay in for 3 hours and investigate it for yourself. Because the truth was, he was here for 3 lonesome hours, and then boom, stroke of 1 o'clock, he was flying out like a I don't want to say it, like a jet fighter out of Lebanon. Okay, he was bolting action out of here, and it was funny because I remember I said, you guys were supposed to start at 9 o'clock, and I said you started at 10. He goes, yeah, we had problems with our equipment, and I laughed and I said, yeah, I'm sure you had problems with the equipment. The spirits were like giving him this because they didn't like them. They felt this total disrespect. And if you remember, in the first episode I was on, the season 9 premiere, I go to the top of the stairs and they had me reenact it because I first went up there and he goes, could you go back and do that again for the cameras? I said, sure, I'll be happy to do exactly what I just did. I went back to the top of the stairs, and he later quoted in his book, said that I was treating the spirits like a condescending adult to a child. And I was like, you piece of worthless, you know what? I did this on behalf of you and and put myself in a position to say, hey, look, spirits, I know you want to lambaste and kick the crap out of them and hang them by their pants and give them atomic wedgies. But please, I was pleading with them to not go AWOL. And they still managed to make Nick get scarred on the stomach and then also get impacted and waste them away for 3 days, which nobody knows the story. 3 days after they left here, let's see, they shot on Friday, Thursday, I think it was. The following day, I said, how are the guys? I called up. He goes, they're not feeling good today. I called back the second day. They're still sick. I finally called back on the 4th day, and he says, yeah, they got better by yesterday afternoon. They were finally well. But for 3 solid days, all 3 of the guys in the crew were sick from their experience here. And I took advantage and said, look, if you guys could only stay from 10 in the evening to 1 in the morning, yet on your show that you were there at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I'm going, thinking to myself, that's a bunch of editing bullshit. They weren't here at that time because at that time of the morning, I was still cleaning the house.
I've been to 2 other locations that they have been to. I'm not going to disclose them, but I have got anonymous sources basically saying exactly the same thing that you do. Well, one is north of me, and I've investigated, and basically off the record, the security guard basically said that since Ghost Adventures was there, the place hasn't been the same. There's been more maleficent activity and stuff like that. It's been sort of evil and
not here.
Stuff like that. But I've heard, like I said, it's almost the same thing, so it's similar in a way.
Well, I stayed at the Demons in Seattle case, which everyone knows, for 3 weeks. I lived there. Nikki, who's in chat, was also there with me. And they said that that case was a hoax. And I have to say that that was one of the most active houses I've ever been into. The moment I walked in, weird stuff was happening. I don't know how you go into that house and say that it's a hoax. As everyone knows, I have one of the burned Bibles that came from the house that they said that the client burned. I'm going to tell you straight up that weird things have happened with that Bible in my house. I have it in a glass case now, and it actually got out of it. So I don't understand how he gets his logic or whatever. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier. Spirits aren't a circus act. You can't make them perform. And from what I hear, he was only there for a few hours.
Exactly.
Well,
most of these places that I've talked to, they claim that he's only there for, a couple of 2 to 4 hours, and then they come back at like 5 or 6, and then they proclaim that it's filming. It's all it is editing.
But it's not me talking shit either, because it's the entertainment world of things, and we have to understand. But I think the fans and followers of TV shows need to understand there's a fine difference between entertainment and what paranormal researchers actually do.
Yeah.
And stop attacking people.
We went off topic really.
Yeah, let's go back on.
Let's go back on topic of the Omen house.
Reel it in. All right, I landed a big one. And it's not Zach bullshit ass Baggins. No, my point is that I've had so many different people here. Yeah, we've had Chris Fleming come here a couple times. And here's an example. Right over behind you guys, well, over in that area over there is my laundry room. And Chris was in there famously doing an investigation and doing an EVP session. And I'm laughing because this is again about perception. The spirit, he says to something, Chris was talking to the spirit, do you have anything to say? And the spirit response was, fuck you, die and get out of the house. At which point, the woman to my right, who was on the tour with us, says, oh my God, it's a demon. And I took a beat, I took a stop, I looked at her and I gave her a look and I said, excuse me. I said, what would you say if you I said, you're eavesdropping. She goes, what do you mean? I said, what if you heard me say that to Chris? Would you say I was a demon? And she goes, no. I said, so what's the difference between a spirit communicating to Chris, saying the same exact remark, yet you condemn the spirit as a demon? And she goes, I said, you're eavesdropping. You're interceding a conversation and listening, eavesdropping in, and the spirit's communicating. Listen, you don't know their relationship. You don't know why he's saying that, but you're casting this dispersed commentary saying, that's a demon. It's like, no, he doesn't like Chris is what it is. I said, that's it. The spirit doesn't like Chris. That's it. I said, a spirit is just the remnant of a person's personality that carries on. And I said, so all you're doing is you're making a statement. It's a demon. Like when, nameless Paraceleb said in this show, I hear 3 knocks. It's a sign of the devil. It's, I said, gee, I said immediately, I said, God, I know a song called Knock 3 Times in the City If You Want Me. And it wasn't the devil calling. It was the next door neighbor. I said, where do you come up with this trinity of Satan and this and that? I said, you make these comments that are so far-flung that people go, it has to be real. It's like, the origins of where 666 came from? No, you don't. You know where the unholy 13, number 13 was unlucky? No, I don't. And before you say these things and condemn them as falling in line like the other lemmings getting ready, preparing to jump off the cliff, know what the history is. The 3.
What in the world just happened?
I dropped. Something happened like I just dropped.
That was weird.
What I was saying was, that's interesting though. The 3 6s, which everybody has called the mark of the devil, was the mark of the Roman tax stamp that Rome had instigated in the, whatever it was, the 2nd century BC, when Rome was in power. There was a stamp that all imported goods that came in from the foreign lands had to be taxed and had to have on the bottom of them a mark of 666 in a triangle. It was a Roman tax stamp. The devil of the Christians of early centuries. That's where that came from. The number 13 is being devil, etc. came from Jesus and the 12 disciples at the Passover Last Supper. That's where 13 became unlucky. Friday the 13th's origins go back to Friday the 13th in 1462, when Charles II of France put to death rounded up all of the Knights Templars and then proceeded to execute them all. This is the origins of those things that people attribute to the devil. Nothing to do with the devil. Had to do with Rome or something other than. So when Zach says the 3 knocks were the sign of the devil, I'm going, no, they just didn't want to go to 4 and they wanted to go more than 2. Was that a possibility there, big boy? I mean, it's about perception. People have 3 different approaches to a situation. The dumb approach, the fearful approach, and then the curious approach. The dumb approach has no basics of logic and has no fear, has nothing. It just goes in, balls to the wall, and figures it out as it goes, and basically putting your head through a solid brick wall would not be far-fetched for the dumb approach to a situation. The fearful approach casts aside all logic, all rationalization and the ability to cope with the situation and gets terrified of it and looks for a stick to pummel that which it's encountering, and then to ask questions after it's destroyed the object it's confronting. The third approach, which I subscribe to, is the curious approach. You have respect, mutually speaking. You have a rational approach to it. You are calm, cool, and collected. You are not going to fight or flight a response to it. You're going to deal with it and try to ascertain what the situation is without being put in a place of jeopardy, as you would with the stupid approach, or responding in a negative fashion in a way with a brutal attack of something and then try to describe what's going on after the fact. And I take the curiosity approach because when you boil it down, every single human that is listening to this and anybody that is alive present day will at one point in time be deceased. It's inevitable. We have a finite existence. We don't know when it happens, but eventually at some point in our lifespan, it will come to an end. So your fear of the unknown is predicated on fallacy. There's nothing you can gain from being fearful of the situation. You're going to have to deal with it, not in a irrational way. You have to deal with it in a rational, sensible fashion, saying, okay, I don't understand what it is, but it's there, and I'm not going to run away, because by running away, that could trigger a response from it to a chase me.
I totally agree with you, because I'm more curious about the aspects of the paranormal, and I also the scientific aspects too, because trying to be able to prove it, trying to be able to figure it out scientifically, because for say I capture now, there was a video, I think you did it like 6 months ago or something like that, but it was an orb. It was a bright ass green orb. It was like big as hell, and it moved down the hallway. So I was trying to be like, okay, what could this be? So I tried, just for shits and giggles, to try and replicate something similar. The closest thing that I could come up with would be a laser dot. But even then, it didn't even look right. It didn't even look exact. So it was like, okay, this has got to be abnormal. This isn't something that is normal. You shouldn't be able to capture an orb. Now, I'm not a very huge believer in orbs. I will make that statement very clear, because nobody has proven to me that orbs are actually legit spirits. Now, orbs are like trying to talk to a Catholic about Buddhism. It's it's a conflictive idea. You have half of the field that believes that, and then half that doesn't. We look at it as a scientific aspect and say, okay, what could this be? Because if it's not paranormal, but what the hell kind of air particle would be causing this green tint to it? What would it be causing? That's how I look at it. So I tried to say, okay, maybe it's some kind of air particle, but it doesn't even come down to it being an orb. It actually came down to something even stranger: the path that it took.
Are you talking about the one where the cat comes out of the hallway?
Yes.
That's strange, because that cat, may she rest in peace, Tess, was a hunter. She went after a squirrel that got in the house, and I still to this day have no idea how the hell we ended up with a squirrel on the second floor of my bedroom, but she found it, and she chased it, and she was notorious for getting flies, for getting moths, for getting any flying insect. Butterflies have gotten in the house, not a chance. She hunted them. So when that video was shot, and I apologize for the editing, that it jumps from one place early here in the hall to then down about 3 feet further down the hall, and I asked the guy who shot it, I said, why did you edit it like that? He said, because the cat was sitting there for 30 seconds and there was no activity. And I said, you stupid son of a... I said, how could you edit that? I said, that credibility, the fact that you don't have anything going on, that it's not a constant flow of energy going back and forth would have been the most discerning point of the film, is to show that, hey, if it's dust and it's wind, how come it all of a sudden just stops for 30 seconds and all of a sudden starts and picks up again, and then the cat travels down the hall? I said, you should have left it untouched. I said, because its raw state would have been, without a question, no one can say, well, it's laser light, oh, it's dust. It's like, all right, if it's laser light, how come the cat's not chasing it? If it is a laser light, how come it doesn't behave like lasers?
That's exactly what I'm. That's exactly because even I know cats. I've owned cats before. That's where it got strange, because that's another thing. Not only was it the path that stirred up to me, it was, why isn't the cat reacting if it was a laser dot?
Right. And why is she also tracking? You can actually see her bobbing her head, tracking the objects. Hey, Karissa.
Yeah.
There you are.
I'm back.
So we're just talking about some of the videos on my YouTube channel. But that's, again, I said to people, the fact that the cat comes out of the hallway into it and is tracking objects is a clear sign that it's not tomfoolery, that it's not a flashlight, because the most striking object is the object goes down the hall, towards the end of the hallway, towards the cinder block wall room, and then comes back up, stops and wiggles, and then shoots through the wall. I said, that's it. Forget everything else. But that one object defies every scientific, logical explanation of a particle of dust. Because it's impossible
That's
to go
one
down the
without
hallway.
a doubt that was caught on video that I have to agree with you. Like I said, I'm not a heavy believer in orbs, but that video definitely made me go holy shit for a minute. Like,
I just got back.
I had to watch it like 10 times to comprehend it, because I was like, okay, wait a minute. There's no way in hell that this actually happened.
And that's the raw footage, except for the fact he cut it so that it was mushed together. But if you blow it up on your big screen, we're talking about Tess Has to Lewis and Ghosts. That was shot in 2006. It's 10 years old now. That was one of the first videos that we shot that we captured some strange stuff. And that's all standard definition yet. Also on that same time period, there's two cameras down in this third level in the guest bedroom that are crossing each other's eye lines. So one's facing towards the bed and the other one's facing towards the sliding glass closets. And at 3 in the morning, something crosses by, camera facing towards the bed, and the other camera, a quarter of the frame, is obliterated at the same moment by an object that has height, depth, and width. There was no one in the room. It was locked off from everybody. So we've reviewed it going, who the hell is it? No one was in the room. Yeah. So those kind of things. I personally don't like orbs because I've seen too many times where it's got to be the right conditions, though. If the lights are on and there's no infrared light, then an orb cannot be captured. Meaning, orbs are known as reflections of infrared light with an infrared emitter reflecting against a dust particle. I've got orbs in daylight. Yeah. So therefore, it can't be a particle of dust reflecting upon an infrared light source. These are objects that are there.
Well, not only that, you bring up the idea that it comes down to the green orb itself almost.
But no, I mean, I agree with you with the whole orb theory, but I've seen some crazy stuff like the pulsating orbs or different colors. That's when I kind of tend to believe in them.
Ones.
But again, if the lights are on, here's the other thing. If you shoot digital film, you'll get an orb. I've got pictures to show you from shot with 35mm film. That being one of them. Do you see that right there? That's the actual 8x10 blow up. Right here.
Uh-huh.
That isn't supposed to be there. That's 800 speed, 35mm film on the 35th anniversary of the Sharon Tate Murders. And you can actually, if you notice, there you go.
Yep.
You can see through the fog that's there, and you can see where the fog is clearly not.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see through it.
Yep.
That's on the negative. That's not a lens flare.
That's pretty awesome.
This was shot the same night. My mom's cousin, who's right. Where is he? Which side is he on? Where are you? He's right here. This guy who's shooting a video. And this, again, was the same piece of junk, 35 millimeter, 8-inch speed film camera. And you can see that thing there. We reviewed the video footage. We didn't see anything there.
Really?
That was kind of it when I took the picture. And look,
That's crazy.
Wait, that's not a strap?
Uh-huh.
No. The strap's black. And you can actually see through it. Look at how you can actually see. Do you see how you can actually see through it in certain parts?
Uh-huh. It goes from like transparent to solid. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's nothing. I mean, I've got other pictures that are similar. This is one going down the bottom of the staircase, and you see that same fog that appeared.
Yep. It's like a white mist.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's on film. So like I said, when you talk about digital and film, digital is one thing, but here's another one. Look at this.
What the hell?
Wow.
Pattern,
Yep.
but a different color, bright white. That shouldn't be there. That's again on film.
That's crazy. That's pretty awesome.
This is a picture that's going from the same room, going into the other room, going from the dining room into the living room.
What?
And what's interesting is I got to get rid of that stupid strong glare. Do you see the top part of this?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We found the picture that was shot before this. I'm trying to see how to get rid of the glare. There you go. There you get no glare
Yep.
that way.
I can see it. Yeah.
The picture before that, this here is just a little snippet going like this. And
Really?
again, film.
If you guys hear scratching, it's one of my cats.
That's okay. I've got 4 of them. This is looking down. This is shot, I think, 14 or 15 years ago. This is
It's like the same thing.
Same thing in front of the gate.
Huh.
Different camera. Again, 8-inch speed film.
That's crazy. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, here's a great pic. Look at this one. Is that similar, if not identical, to the same pattern and color?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to get this right.
I can see it.
That again is film. I think this is 400 speed film. But again, that similar pattern that we've captured. And this is the last one I can show you guys of the blow-ups. This is over the head of the pit of my mat in my bed, and you see this weird iridescent burn here. That shouldn't be there.
Huh.
Again, film.
That's interesting.
Wow.
So
Is that a negative?
Partially, that's with the negative. There's no. I partially they didn't see film. We actually have a picture I shot when Nick Roth was here 2 months ago. Shooting the interview for JoeBlow.com for his new show, and one picture out of I think 74 had a weird burn, and it was a weird color flare in the middle of the third level theater room where we were shooting the images, and it's all blue. There's a blue light you can see. There's a little darkness, and then there's this like weird fog, just like a little fog like this big in the frame. It's like hell knows what it is.
Huh.
But again, you can't sit there and say, with a CMOS chip, what the computer chip's going to interpret that image as, because you got to remember, digital has a coefficient of a computer chip deciding where the ones and the zeros go to create the image. If it can't understand what it is, it's going to assign its understanding of what it is. It's not taking a negative and just exposing it to the light and saying whatever's there, we're going to put onto this, and this image is going to be solidified on this. This has got no brain. Your cell phone, whatever for lack of a better word, this has a brain. That has to interpret. This is basically the raw actual image. It won't, as the old saying goes, photographs don't lie. And I've got myself, like I said, a cheap rinky-dink 35 millimeter camera that you can take one picture and you have to manually advance the thing before you can snap another picture. And I've got 8-inch speed film that I buy and I use it. I don't know what I'm shooting at the time. I'm just snap, okay, snap. And when it comes to being developed, I later on find out what I've captured. To me, that's a lot more gratifying than the digital one because it's too much possibility and potential for fiddling with. And people saying, oh, you Photoshop this, or you have an app on your phone that can basically supplant and put in an image over the actual image that's being recorded.
I think that's pretty crazy, though, that there's pictures on different cameras that match. They're pretty similar.
Yeah, they are.
That's pretty cool.
You need to get a 35 millimeter.
And I've never seen anything like that blue stripy thing like that. Whatever that is, that's awesome.
I don't know what that is. That looks very. That whatever that is a definite picture anomaly. I've never caught anything similar to that. I mean, I've caught things to the
That's pretty awesome. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, because I don't. Where's Trent? Did his go out right when I got back on?
No, I went out when you went out, and I came back on after immediately. And
and then he just went out too.
You had to say.
We're plagued with technical difficulties, aren't we?
I was trying to get back on, it wouldn't let me. I was like, no.
Yeah,
I could get to the black screen.
So there's one major location that we haven't really touched
but
on.
that's pretty awesome with the blue stick. Huh?
I've heard things about your basement. What's up with the basement?
There is no basement. It's just the earthen wall room. It's an exposed part of the underside of the house that's still there. And you know, if I was going to say, if I could get this Gastron extension cord to work, I would have literally walked you guys in there and given you a view of the room itself. Just going to go, oh shit, really? That's Earth. You mean you could have gophers running into you? I said, yeah, I guess if they're crazy enough to dig under the piling, sure, they could go under that and come up into my house. Sure, they could. But they haven't so far.
Oh my
God. The earthen wall room. It's an interesting place for some people. You know, it's never the same place twice. I'll tell you that. You go in there one time and it's elevated energy, and you go in there and say, oh my God, my head's killing me. I feel the pressure on my sinuses, or I feel this pressure on my chest, or I feel like I'm rocking back and forth on a boat. And other times you go in there and it's just nothing. Absolutely just quiet as a mouse.
Well, that's kind of the theory on portals, is that they're always changing and always shifting. So,
look,
one of the
here this many years, I'll say that I've heard so many theories.
I know. That's why I clarified myself. That's why I was like one of them.
No, I know that, but it's like, you know, it's the understanding of a portal is kind of mythological in a sense that people say it's this. It's really, that's not the truth about a portal. The portal is kind of like it's always there. And it's, like I said, it doesn't, when I say changes, I mean, it's energetically speaking. Certain people come in the house, and here's a good one, quick reflection, going back to your question about the murders. A guy that I met who was driving me for I think it was for Paranormal Witness. He was the driver. I wasn't going to drive in the rain. They wanted me to come out to Studio City, so they had a driver come out, pick me up and drive me there. So they said my car wasn't going to go with the rain the way it was at the time. So they picked me up, and he started talking to me, and he found out about my house. He said, oh, I'm fascinated, and he kept my number. And a couple weeks later, he called me up, and he told me he wanted to come check out the house. And he later told me when he was on the phone that his acting teacher was a guy named Steve Railsback. Now, I know that name doesn't ring a bell these days, but back in 1976, I do believe it was, the original Helter Skelter movie was made. And the guy who played Charlie Manson in the movie was a guy named Steve Railsback. And Steve was of the method acting approach, which meant, I don't know if it was method or which he basically immersed himself in the character of Charlie Manson to the point where, forget the remake a few years ago in Aquarius, he looked and was the embodiment of Charlie. Steve was like 5'3", which is the same height as Charlie is. And he looked almost identical to Charlie. I mean, if you watch the original Helter Skelter movie, you see that. You look at mugshots and pictures of Charlie in the day, you say, Jesus Christ, they look like damn identical. And he came to the house, the kid came to the house, and he kept on saying, oh, I want to bring Steve here. And as soon as we got in the house, the energy was just like, it like became like a pressure cooker. To the point where I will never forget, we went down the staircase, and we were probably about 4 feet, 5 feet from the landing, going down the stairs. And as soon as I hit that, like, the seventh step from the bottom, I started feeling like this intense pressure, like something squeezing my skull, literally on all sides, and just squeezing it. And I said, oh my God, my sinuses, I can't even believe, what is this? We went down and we hit the landing. It was excruciating. It was like venom painful. And I was like, okay, let's walk through this part of the house. This is just too intense. And he kept on talking about Steve, and it was almost like over and over again. It felt like that kind of pressure was just mounting. I said, I think we got to go upstairs. And even when we went upstairs to the top floor, it still was pretty intense and tight. And until he left, it felt like a pressure cooker. And finally, when he left, and I said, I was almost like, if you dare bring him back again, so help me God, whatever pain you think you felt right now will be nothing compared to the pain you will feel upon his arrival and with that son of a bitch Steve Rails back. I was like, okay, I got it. I'm not into S&M. I'm not into pain. I don't enjoy it. I will respect you. I won't do that. Because it was almost the closest thing to the spirit seeing his return. It felt like it was just like somebody went like this and said, okay, see, there's 0, here's 20, and just turning it up to a volume of just off the charts. And I said, no, and he kept calling and calling, and I want to come back, I want to bring him back. It's like, can't do it, dude. Yeah. I respect them, and I like my life without pain.
Plus, that was probably like traumatic for them as well, seeing like something. If I was a ghost, and I'm not an expert here, but if I was a ghost and I saw someone that looked very similar to someone that murdered me, I'd be like, oh, I'm good.
It just felt really intense. So it was like,
Yeah.
But we've had people that have gone down. Again, the clips are on the YouTube channel, which I posted on the chat side on my YouTube channel, where we have people that have had the lights on and just the camera, the little camera phone, and you watch different objects manifesting, and then literally there's one video that Victoria K photographer took, and this object just comes literally out of the dirt and starts moving around and literally hits the wood floor and vaporizes into thin air.
Huh.
There's a great video that I just posted a couple weeks ago that's of, I think it says, Mike's 10 minutes after Mike in the butcher block left the room. And Mike with the butcher block was the guy that was here a year ago in March. And he was in the theater room, and he went into the earthen wall room, which you were speaking of. And there's a 10-pound piece of, what do you call it again, butcher block. It's probably about 2 feet by about 1 foot wide by about 2 inches thick, solid butcher block. And it was resting on top of this television set. And it had been for a number of months, if not years, sitting there. And during the course of that investigation, people were walking in and walking out in groups of 5 or 6 or 7, and nothing was happening. Mike walks in at 10 minutes to midnight, and he was going to close the door, and as he's closing the door, to get clarity from having people's voices outside lead in to the EVP session, the butcher block spins off the television set and falls on the ground. And he freaks out and runs out of the room. So I had him back here because I'm now doing my own special. I decided to do a special about the house. You call it a documentary. I call it a television 2-hour special about the paranormal activity going on at Hollywood's Most Haunted. Because I've got such a library of all this video footage of the activity and of the EVPs. I said, I know enough people that have been here that will come in and be interviewed. Let's do a show of our own, especially about the house to set the record straight. So Mikey came, and he's in the earthen wall room talking. 10 minutes later, he leaves, and 10 minutes later, I'm watching the footage. and I just put the video up. There's this anomalous ball of energy that comes right out of the wall and starts doing the spinning gyration and then disappears. And I said the lights were on. There was no gosh darn infrared light, and it's in color. And when you watch this thing, you go, what the hell is that? And it's ironic because it happened 10 minutes after he was in that room. The spirits decided to say, oh, you're here again. Oh, we remember you. And it was like...
I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds pretty awesome.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Make sure you enlarge the picture. And when you watch the videos, to get rid of all the fear factor of, oh, it's rigged, put it to a full screen.
Yep.
Because I see that people, if you're watching this little 3-inch by 4-inch screen, what are you watching? You have a 19-inch screen. Use the whole screen and see what's going on there, so you can open your eyes and say, I don't see any wires. I don't see anybody toying with anything. It's like the stick was gyrating on its own like this and then falls over. I mean, it's the first time I've seen any of my figurines do this, wobble, and then fall over and not just go boom.
That's pretty. That's just.
It's
that's
strange.
intense and pretty awesome.
I find it strange how it's used. You know,
so let me ask you this, David.
Yeah.
What's the most amazing?
And I just want to say that I do recommend always reviewing evidence or watching videos on a big monitor, just because if you don't, you miss so much.
Go, Trent.
I miss Trent. I miss seeing him.
I think she can't see
He
or
left
hear me
us.
for some weird reason. She's having some kind of
Then you wouldn't
issue.
be talking over him.
Can you see him? Am I like the only person that can't see him? What the heck?
Yes, you're just blind.
He blocked me
Karissa.
on here or something. I don't know.
Blind looking for a bomb.
What's the most amazing?
So when he's
and-
talking, I'm probably just talking over him. Sorry, Trent. I can't see you or hear you. So
That's
I don't know
weird.
what's going on.
That's really weird.
I'm not trying to be rude, but I do miss seeing you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Sorry, Trent. I'm cracking up at this. Listen, she's seeing me laughing at her. Oh God, no.
You
Maybe I
can see
sign
me.
my
I wonder if
notes.
you can
I'll
see
do
me.
this.
Like
I'll
I
do
said, this is definitely the most interesting and without a shadow of a doubt, probably the best show that I will ever have.
Oh, stop that. I'm just not stiff. I'm going to do this, Trent, to save, Karissa talking over you. I'm going to write a little sign here, and anytime you're about to speak, I'll put this back.
Oh shit.
Trent? Let's see, Trent's talking. I can always just paste this on my forehead. Here, is this good? Or is that out backwards?
Yeah, there you go.
That works for me.
So, back to what I was going to ask.
You forgot what you were going to ask, huh? That's
What
good.
is the most amazing and compelling thing that you've experienced?
Having sex for the first time.
This isn't fair to me. Like, I feel like I'm missing so much.
And not with myself, as I said.
Oh, God. That is not what I meant.
Oh, God.
You took that comment completely out of context.
No, you set yourself up for the opening salvo, kid. I just took this thing.
I should have put the word paranormal in there.
Yes, you probably should have. But because you forgot to, I had to capitalize on it. I'm not just that kind of an ass. Here, I got it. Does that work?
No, it's upside down. I think I got it.
There.
Backwards.
Oh,
So, hey, David, what kind of drugs did you take?
Does anybody have any questions? I see Nikki keeps on refreshing. Nikki's laughing her motherfucking ass off. That's good. And Nikki's also LOLOMG. Oh my, too. Anybody else out there want to say anything to us out here in TV land? What the hell do you want? Do I see sponsored by these guys?
What's the most amazing and phenomenal paranormal experience that you personally experienced?
I'd have to say St. Stephen's apparition 12 years ago stands at the top of the list. You know, I mean, everybody talks, I want to see a ghost, I want to see a ghost, and Karissa just went bye-bye. I hope I'm not next in the middle of my commentary. No, that was probably it. I mean, seeing a real-life apparition, aside from all the shit we've all talked about, I want to see a ghost. I mean, you know, as a kid, you always want it. You don't know what you're really asking to see, let alone who you're going to see. But I think that was probably the top of the list on my bucket list, as I saw a ghost. And it was a wild experience. And it wasn't, luckily the situation was that my mom was dying of cancer. And when I woke up and saw him literally at the foot of my bed after putting my head on the pillow literally 2 minutes earlier, and then waking up from a deep sleep and saying, God, I feel like I've been asleep for like 8 hours. And then glancing over at the alarm clock and saying, it's 1:37 in the morning. And then saying, that's not possible. It can't be 2 minutes. And then for some reason, I noticed I started looking towards the foot of the bed. And there in front of me is this guy, a full body apparition. And I'm like going, okay, you're here to tell me that my mom just passed away. Is that it? And literally, he's there sitting and he's pointing his left index finger out like this. He's pointing it out towards the property next door, and he's making a quarter turn towards that direction and stops 3 times and gone. And at the time, I'm thinking, God, my mom just died. It's got to be an emissary spirit saying, I'm here to tell you your mom just passed away. And I also thought that my girlfriend at the time was flying through the European, she was an airline stewardess flying through Europe, and I was concerned that maybe this was an emissary telling me something happened to her. So at 8 in the morning, when I woke up, you know, went back to bed, walked around the house for a while, so that was strange. Said, okay, I got to prepare myself for the morning when I get a call from my father saying my mom has died, or the alternative would have been getting a call from the airline saying that, you know, Felicia died, and none of the above happened. So then it was like, well, who the hell was that? And then talking to different friends of mine, they were psychic and not being able to get anybody to really come in and say, hey, this is what this was about. Except for one person I talked to, who was a friend of mine who was gifted. She said, you're not going to find out for several years. It won't make sense. And what's ironic is, I always kept on thinking, he's pointing towards the driveway. He's pointing towards the driveway. No. He was pointing towards the property next door that's being built. And they literally took, the driveway was like this, and this guy went like this. They went like this, 60 feet down, and cut out this whole chunk of earth going 80 feet down the driveway. And then put up a whole bunch of retaining walls and caissons, and then put caissons here. And that construction caused so much havoc on my house that while they were moving the earth, the house was literally shaking, and I have structural cracks the entire house because that house next door should never have been built and approved to begin with.
Oh, wow.
And that's what he was pointing to 10 years earlier. That's okay.
I interrupt a lot, but now I can see you, so I won't as much. I can see him now, Dave. Stop.
Good. Can you take a hint?
So let's say if anybody that is in the chat room or is currently watching that would like to jump in and ask David a question, or ask any of us a question or anything like that, please feel free. We would love an extra square to be filled up and some questions and some extra discussion.
Treasure
Nikki,
Trove,
come on in.
Scotta. Hello, Scotta.
Nikki, call. Like, what?
Hello, Treasure Trove 952. And hello, Nikki.
Anyone, call in.
Anyone.
Join us.
This is Gilligan Island, and I'm Bob Denver.
Hello and welcome to Into the Abyss chat room.
Yes, indeed. It's time to talk. Talk turkey.
This is why no one wants to call in.
Live on video. What can I do for you?
Yeah, nobody wants to talk to our crazy asses.
I guess they just like watching us talk amongst ourselves. Let me ask him, can we make this into a real life TV show? That's my question here.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it.
Well, I'm definitely there to do it. That's why I'm pitching my poltergeist agent show.
Awesome.
Hopefully I can figure out technology so I stop talking so much.
Yeah, that's gonna make a big
No,
difference.
Nikki, you need to join.
Nikki, just join in.
It won't be as fun without you.
It would be better with your, you're pretty much my best friend, so you fit in with our crazy.
Who snorted? I heard snort.
Me, I did. I'm a snorter, apparently.
That's true. I'm so glad we're in Snorter's company. Yeah, where are my cards?
Apparently Nikki's coming on. Yay.
Can you guys see that at all or no?
Barely.
Oh, a little bit.
Well, I'll read it to you. It says, David Oman, the poltergeist agent, an after-lifestyle company, representing the finest in... Wait, you see my... Yes, excuse me. Representing the finest employees in the afterlife. We put after party in the afterlife. That's about it, kids. Get out of the way, dog. Great. Excuse me.
Man, you know what? All I have to say is that everybody was warning me that you're a character. I never knew that they meant this much of a character.
You got me on camera. There's a big difference. Everyone else who I've been on the shows on has been vis-a-vis this, not this. That's the difference.
This is why I like using Blab too, because it's face to face. It's
Yeah, there's more people doing this. How many photos do we have on right now?
There's been 50 people that came in and out, and then there's 8 currently. So there's.
But then it streams to YouTube, right?
Yeah, but then it streams straight to YouTube. So
Nice.
Hello,
everybody.
This could be anywhere. So
I don't know why Nick's
on my
not
home
calling.
planet of Mars. I'm sorry. I just don't see it making a transmission to Mars.
It might.
Listen to Mars.
You never know.
To Mars. It's time.
This is why no one will call in. No one wants to join us.
Well,
Oh my God.
go get your goddamn skull phone and call the hell in.
I don't think that's going to convince them to join us. Oh, Nikki's grabbing a headset, guys. She's about to join the
Wait. Where did you get that phone? I want one.
Hey, look on eBay. I think I paid $25.
I want one of those. That kicks ass.
Yes, Dr. Bones here. Yes, I'm thinking of you, dear. Yes, I'm always thinking of you. Ah, yes. Like some? No, you're right. Cancer killed you, and I'm following in your line of work. Yes, I'm sorry. I shouldn't follow your footsteps. What?
Nikki!
Really? He says he's got a bone to pick with you.
No.
No.
I'm in trouble.
Give me some skull, baby. Give me some skull.
Are you sure? Are you sure
Give me some
he
skull.
doesn't mean- Are you sure he doesn't mean boner and not bone?
Oh.
Well,
He says,
he wants skull.
He said, which one of us has been on TV? Thank you. I agree with you. How many times? 700 times I've been on TV. Wow, you're right. I didn't realize that. You're right. That is rude to have the phone on my phone in the ear.
Why
I'll
isn't
talk to you
Nikki's
like
camera working now? I see Nikki attempting to call in, but it's not working.
I see Nikki trying to do something. What are you trying to do there, Nick?
I think she's trying to join us.
Well, am I crazy or does it say that it's 10 minutes to 10?
No.
No, it's 10 minutes to 11 here.
Yeah, it's almost 1 a.m. on my end.
There's Nick.
I still can't see her. Now she's the black box.
You sound like a Minnie Mouse.
She sounds like Mickey Mouse right now.
Minnie. Yes, you sound like Minnie Mouse.
I can't see her.
Listen to that chirpy, that's a chipmunk laugh. Is that an electric cigarette? I hope it's got THC in it. That better be a THC-loaded one, baby. Fix her gosh darn camera. That mic is horrid. My
I can't
God. You sound like you're taking helium hits.
My computer sucks.
Click to give props. Yes, I'll give it props. How about give props? Click page to give props. I'm giving her props. I'm giving her 96.
What happened to my fucking show?
What does that mean, giving her props?
It went downhill when you got me.
Up, like you chipmunk chattermount.
My show went downhill very quickly.
Yeah, you got me as co-host. You had Dave as a guest. Your mistakes.
Gee, Nick, why don't you come down and visit?
I can't give myself props.
I definitely need to change this shit very quick.
You mean we're not on the air?
No, we're still live. We're still recording right now.
But you mean we're not broadcasting?
We're broadcasting.
Well, that's good because we got two broads and I'm in a cast.
I can't see her.
I can see her. I can't hear her though.
I can see her and I can hear her, and she sounds like Mickey Mouse.
I can't see or hear. It's
that.
I can't do it. I can't do the insanity of Mickey Mouse.
Why is it screwed up?
I really honestly hope that the recording captures the Mickey Mouse, so that way people don't think we're like crazy or something.
Oh, what happened to Nikki?
I lost her. I lost Nick. So Nikki's up in Washington.
Why did my show just become like a crazy?
Oh, it says I bumped her out of the seat. How did I bump her out of the seat? I don't understand this.
Let her come back in. Unlock the seat. See, just unlock the seat.
I don't know how she even got kicked out. How did I? It says I kicked her out.
I'm trying to unlock the goddamn seat.
We can't figure this out.
Okay, so
I don't want to unlock it.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, but we'll still be broadcasting live.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say, make sure everybody subscribes to my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys watch all my future episodes. I may or may not have Karissa, depending on her schedule, as my co-host. I might have somebody else as my co-host. So, but I let everybody know ahead of time.
I'm getting kicked off the show already, David.
I guess I'm next. Lock seat. I want to unlock seat. Seat is locked. Unlock seat. God.
Anyway, remember, my friends, stay spooky, stay safe, and I'll talk to everybody later.